Gross. I don't think that can be the intro.
Hey everyone, I'm Ryan.
And I'm Steven. This is 60 Cycle Hum, the guitar buying, selling, trading, modding, fixing, breaking, reviewing, playing podcast.
Perfect score! He did it!
There was a hitch in there. I don't know about that.
No, I think that was it.
This first ad, kicking it off old school, I don't know, is from Joey Scar. This isn't actually an ad. Someone's going to get mad about this.
No one's going to get mad. People just want to see guitars and they want to hear us talk about them.
Yeah, this is from the Les Paul Forum. This is a Guitar Center dumpster rescue. Someone pulled a Les Paul Studio out of a dumpster.
Yeah, that's what dumpster center rescue means.
This is... I'm just laughing at pictures. People are like, what's so funny?
No, they see the pictures. They see what you're looking at.
Oh, yeah. What the fuck?
I know. There's a lot to unpack here.
Tremble? Why is it tremble?
Why not?
But this is
the best Les Paul headstock repair I've ever seen in my life.
What did this start as? Did this actually start as a Les Paul Studio, you think?
Yeah, probably.
And then did they just happen to have the robot tuners, or was
it might have been it might have been a robot Les Paul. Who knows?
I just want the before pictures. But yeah, this is a Les Paul with an acrylic headstock. It's had a headstock break and repair.
Yeah.
And it's really clean, cleanly done.
I think this is really, really cool. I almost want to have a Les Paul with a broken off headstock to recreate this, because this is a really cool way to do this. The worst part about it is the robo tuners. Like, I would have left that part out. Like, imagine you replace your Les Paul's headstock with a clear headstock so people can look right through it, and you put the ugliest, stupidest system Gibson's ever used on any of their guitars as the tuners. Like, yeah, I just do regular tuners.
I don't really get it. But whatever. It's not my problem. Not my guitar. They made their choice. I mean, it is kind of neat.
Not my guitar, not my problem.
It is kind of neat to see like the Tronical stuff through the headstock, like the things that are on the back.
I mean, it would be cool if you could see open gears moving around and stuff, but you can't. It's just, it looks like a USB battery pack back there. Mm-hmm. It would look way cooler to have some open gear tuners and be able to see through the rest of it.
Got any open gear tuners? Be a lot cooler if you did.
Mm-hmm. But then
this isn't quite a Gibson headstock. It's trying to be a Gibson headstock.
Okay, Steve's gonna get picky.
But it doesn't quite have the shape.
It's not perfect.
The cuts are a little, like in most of the pictures it looks good, but
would you prefer an Epiphone headstock?
No, God, no.
With the little cuts
Please,
on the side?
God, no.
What about the new Epiphone headstock with a big book?
Yeah, I can live with that.
Yeah.
How about
this? Should just be a thing. Like,
how about the 70s Gibson headstock that PRS stole?
Everyone should take their headless guitars and they should put acrylic headstocks on them. It's a cool look.
It's just a headstock with no tuners because it's a headless guitar.
just a clear shard of crystal as your headstock, but there's no tuners connected to it.
It's a good idea. So the poker chip is missing, and instead they just etched rhythm and tremble.
I want to know how
directly into it.
If they did that by hand, or if they had like an engraver or a laser cut or something like that.
The circle looks like it's done by hand, but then the rhythm and tremble part almost looked like it's burned in.
I don't know, man.
Like a stamp of like a Iron Brand.
I almost wonder if they did scratch it in. It all looks pretty like same. There's people out there who have just really good handwriting and can like really just etch stuff out.
Yeah. I again, maybe folks who are more into Gibson body types will recognize the wear on this model, because this just looks like a gold top but it's got some wear that looks like, I wonder if it's factory or if this person who owns this did that.
I think this person has been experimenting with this guitar a lot. I think they took this as an opportunity to experiment with relicking. Because there's a lot of different things going on here. There's cracks, there's scratches, there's wear, there's greening of the gold, there's bare wood poking out places. They found this in a dumpster, and they've just been experimenting on it. And I love them for it.
Do you think...
I want to know what the little green knob thing is. It looks like a spray bottle top.
Oh, yeah. I think that's just a knob. It might be, I think it just might be weird.
It's definitely weird. I've never seen one like that before. What is it?
It's
got paint on it.
It's the top to a spray can.
It's a spray can top. It totally is. That's funny.
The neck has a lot of wear on it. I'm wondering if this came from like the Guitar Center used section, because it looks filthy.
But this isn't how it was when he pulled it out of the dumpster, dude. I'm telling you, he's done like a ton of experimenting on this guitar, like messing around.
You think he's messing
relicking techniques and like aging techniques?
So you think he like relicked the fretboard too?
Probably.
All right.
Or it's just a story about pulling it out of a dumpster. I want to know how he did the headstock. I want to know what process was involved in doing that, because it's clean.
I want to know where he found this fake hole in the sidewalk to put a...
That's just a little bit of sidewalk art.
Was it Chicago? They had like the rat hole. It was like the hole in the sidewalk that was shaped exactly like a rat.
Yeah.
And it became like a pilgrimage.
Yeah. Then they took it away.
Yeah. Good job, Chicago.
Yeah. First Harambe, then the rat hole. I got Steve with the Harambe reference.
I don't really have a lot to say about this, except clearly very well executed.
Yeah, they're not selling it, but what would you pay?
$800.
You'd pay. That feels like a lot for a studio.
Is it a studio? I need more information.
It's got a studio truss rod cover, Steve.
Yeah, so that's all we know.
That's clearly it's a studio.
Okay, if it's a studio with a $498 set, then $600. If it's got better pickups, then $800.
Oh, I bet this guy put like totally different pickups in this.
Yeah, they're probably Artec or from GFS.
I feel like that price range that you're working with is fair, somewhere in between $600 and $800 for this. That headstock repair looks solid to me. Maybe I'm totally wrong. There is a little bit of grittiness down here on the edge of it. Maybe it'll fail again. Who knows? But it's absolutely creative.
Imagine the headstock fails and you take it to your local tech and you're like, hey, I broke the headstock on my Les Paul. And they're like, oh, let me take a look at it. You know, that's a pretty common break, and a lot of them are fixable, and you hand it to it, it's the acrylic headstock and then the body, and he's just like,
but you know
what the hell?
When that acrylic headstock breaks off, because it will, it's still gonna have wood attached to it. The neck's just gonna break in a different place.
Right.
The wood's never gonna separate from the acrylic, but you're still gonna have to repair this headstock at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolute like cool points here for replacing the headstock that way. Get rid of those robo tuners. Get them out of here. No one wants to see that trash. I like to tune the way Grandpa did, with my fingers and my ears.
You know, was it last week we were talking about locking tuners? And the whole thing about, I was saying like, oh yeah, it takes like, you know, X amount of time to do it without locking tuners, and Y amount of time and how you're going to save all this time. And I think I said like 8 minutes to change strings.
Right.
So I changed strings on one of my guitars.
Did you time
this
it?
week. I didn't time it, but I think it took me like 15 minutes. Like I wasn't
like, it's not a race.
I wasn't trying to go fast by any means. But I was just kind of casually doing it. At some point I just remember thinking like, I've been out here forever.
I remember the very first time I changed strings on my first electric guitar, which had a knockoff Floyd Rose on it. It took me like 2 hours. And I was
because of the Floyd Rose, man.
Crying in the middle of it, not knowing like, did I ruin this guitar? I don't know. I don't understand how the strings work on this guitar. Why is this so wonky? I changed strings dozens of times on my old acoustic, but like trying to change the strings on this Floyd Rose, like almost broke me.
Yeah. You know what pedal company's a lot like the Floyd Rose tremolo?
Is it Chase Bliss?
It's Chase Bliss.
Chase Bliss is the Floyd Rose of pedals.
Yeah, maybe when you first pick one up, you start to mess around with it, and you're like, wow, this sure is complicated. I don't know if I'll ever figure this out.
It might even be a little intimidating to me.
Yeah.
But then you figure it out, and oh my gosh, now you're dive bombing all over the place.
You know what the difference is between a Chase Bliss pedal and a Floyd Rose?
What's that?
You can't really screw up a Chase Bliss pedal.
That's true.
Like even if you never figure it out, you're gonna have a lot of fun with it. It's gonna make your guitar sound wacky and crazy. And when you do figure out, you can make it sound wacky and crazy the way that you want it. Or if you just get something like a Dark World or Therme or whatever, you're gonna get sounds that it's gonna do the basic thing in addition to all the wacky stuff.
Can you imagine going back in time? You get in your time machine. And you go back to the late 70s and you hand Eddie Van Halen literally any Chase Bliss pedal. Like, here you go, Eddie. Learn this thing. Completely changed the course of history. All history. Everything changes. Harambe never dies. Thanks to Eddie Van Halen.
And Chase Bliss pedals.
Having a Chase Bliss pedal. If you get a time machine, make it happen.
Basically, what we're saying is if you want to save whatever the futures Harambe is,
yes,
go to chasebliss.com, get on their mailing list. So when that way you'll know when the next cool thing drops. Check out what they have for sale right now. Right. Maybe you'll see something that catches your eye. And when you check out, just tell them that 60 Cycle Hum sent you.
And mention the future Harambe.
Yeah.
Whoever they may be. All right. What next, Steve?
So it's topic time, Ryan.
Yeah.
And here's the thing.
This is either going to be an amazing topic or it's going to be so half-baked.
Well, we have the topic I have written down.
Yeah.
But we talked about doing another topic. And I said, no, I don't think we should do that.
Are you thinking about it now?
But I'm thinking about it now.
Let's do it. Let's just do it.
All right.
Okay.
We're going to do this topic. Let me preface it because I don't like.
Okay. You don't like me. You don't trust me.
I don't like the way that you preface it.
Okay. I want you to lay down the rules, Steve.
I don't know that it's rules. I think,
set the mood, set the
tone.
Here's
what I'm going to say is guitar culture, despite what some people want you to think, guitar culture is a very international culture.
Totally.
But right now there's a lot of chaos in North America, and particularly tensions between the United States and our northern neighbor, Canada. And there are some things that are creeping into the guitarosphere regarding, basically the big push is in Canada for Canadians to buy more Canadian product, which makes 100% facts. Buy Canadian, or makes 100%
Canadians
sense.
make good stuff. So why not?
But then some of that, I feel like some of the collateral damage of that, and a friend of ours, Landon Bailey, has talked a little bit about this in some chats that we're in, is that Canadian YouTubers are kind of catching strays for working with American retailers. And so then the question becomes, and I looked at our video from last week, about 7% of our audience is Canadian.
That's plenty.
And I guess like on the big picture, it's like 5 to 7%, but I would say that's it's like 7%.
Are they our second biggest?
They're our third biggest market.
Who's our second?
The UK.
Wow.
And I
feel like we should make a trip to Canada.
And so I think this goes to where you kind of were saying is, will there be a time, or should there be a time where, Canadian guitar players stop watching American YouTubers until this whole political thing settles out?
Should they focus on Canadian YouTubers?
But only Canadian YouTubers that,
of course, they're still going to watch Anderson.
That don't shill for Sweetwater.
Right. Okay, you're being so delicate, and then you're like, shill for Sweetwater. Like, settle down.
Well, it's...
So what happened is that Landon did a giveaway through Sweetwater.
Yeah.
And the legality of giveaways gets sticky, no matter who's hosting it or providing it or what's going on. Like every different state, city, region, country of the world has different rules and laws for giveaways. But he was catching some flack from his countrymen.
Yeah.
Like, hey, why are you doing an American-only giveaway in this climate?
Yeah.
Like, come on. Like, things are cold enough up here, and you won't give us a guitar to warm ourselves with?
They did have a blizzard like 2 weeks ago.
But I get it. I understand it. I understand the enthusiasm. I understand the concern. I understand the motivation to try to avoid American business as much as possible. My 2 cents that I'm going to lay down here is that Landon and other Canadian guitar YouTubers, although there are plenty of Canadians out there, all of us, American guitar YouTubers included, we require a global audience to be in business. This is not a big enough scene to support ourselves off of one country.
Right.
And excluding even just an American audience would be a huge mistake. And it would, and I don't think you could actually do, I don't think Landon or Glenn or Jalen or Jay or any other, Daryl Braun, any other Canadian guitar YouTuber could say anything that would piss off the majority of guitar American guitarists to keep them from continuing to watch their content. I don't think Canadian YouTubers are risking Americans not watching their content over everything that's going on right now. But we all need the whole pie for this thing to work. And there are retailers that are very good to work with.
Right.
And the retailers, the manufacturers, everyone who's in the industry, everybody's nervous. No one likes instability, especially people who are in business. No one likes what's going on right now. We hear you loud and clear. We're in the same boat over here. Like, I think a sentiment that I've heard talking to people in Asian gear companies and stuff like that. Like,
sure,
if you've got an issue with our governments, we understand. But maybe consider not taking it out on the people, because people are still just people.
Right.
People are still just individuals, and they're also going to have issues with their own governments and foreign governments, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All right, so that was my piece. Now you rant for a while.
The giveaway thing is actually pretty interesting because even within the United States, we do deal with that. Where Sweetwater doesn't do giveaways that include New York or Florida as well.
Right.
Because those 2 states require items above a certain amount. I think it's like $500 or $800 or something. They have to be insured through like a bond system.
Jeez.
So basically, if you want to run a giveaway in one of those states for like a high dollar value item, and a company like Sweetwater, they might be giving away like a couple pedals where it's under that threshold. But it's not going to be worth it to like figure out like, okay, this giveaway, we need a bond. This one we don't. They're either going to do it or they're not going to do it. The thing in terms of,
it's so much easier to just say void where prohibited.
Yeah. My understanding is the way it works for the international thing is some companies, and my assumption would be Long and McQuaid is the company, but Sweetwater, pretty much from my understanding, like So I saw a comment where somebody said that they're in Canada and they could pay extra to Sweetwater to have it shipped for certain items. But my understanding is that for other items like Fender products, that Sweetwater just straight up cannot ship those internationally because of the trade, not the retail agreements that they have with Fender.
I won, I think it was a $250 gift card from Toman.
Right.
Because I did like an internal contest thing to make my landing page over there. They're like, all the influencers try to make a custom landing page. They're all trying to motivate us to make branded, like our channel specific landing pages. And so I made one and it won, maybe because I was the only one that did it I don't know if other people did it. But then I was sitting there with this gift certificate, this gift card. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, well, maybe I'll get that. No, you can't get that brand. We can't we can't ship that brand to America because of our agreements. Well, can I get this? And it's just like thing after thing after thing. Is like anything that I wanted was shot down because retailers have geography specific contracts.
Right.
And even if it's a giveaway, they're not going to step over those contracts to give you something that you want. You have to pick what's available, you know?
Didn't it turn out like basically the only thing you could get was a Harley Benz? Something like
well,
that.
I ordered a couple speakers, which are actually in that cab right now.
Oh, cool.
And then I got, I think it was more than 250. It might have been 500. Then I got a Goldo trim. I can't remember exactly what it was. It might have been 300. It doesn't matter at this point.
It was a number. It was more than 200.
There was money involved.
It was less than 1,000.
Yeah, it was definitely less than 1,000. Yeah. 500 seems really high, but 250 feels right. I don't know.
I think there's some other, I think there's some other interesting aspects. One, like we were talking about brands and trying to think of like just in the specifics of trying to buy like your own country stuff.
Right.
There are countries with like rich histories, and like a lot of brands, like, so I'm thinking like if you were Japanese and you decided I'm only going to buy Japanese domestic product, but you weren't going to buy Fender, even though Fender's Japanese domestic product
That's
is
not
very
fair.
different, very different. But it's like, you still would have Ibanez, you still would have ESP.
They just came out with those Starcaster headstock.
The Starmaster?
The Starmasters.
It reads too much like Stairmaster.
I know, but still they look cool.
But you have like ESP, you have Ibanez, you'd have Takamine, I guess. You'd have like Edwards, Tokai, like brands like that. Mm-hmm. And the only Canadian guitar company that we could think of is Godin.
There's got to be others.
But
they're probably all boutique-y, you know?
Right.
There's probably a bunch of boutique-y stuff in Canada. Canadians watching, apparently we have a decent size market share of you guys in our audience already. Tell us Canadian brands in the comment section. I want to know about them.
And then like on the amp side, I can only think of Rev, which is what I play right now, of course. I'm wearing their shirt.
Yeah, right you are. And there's a Rev amp sitting right behind you right now.
Ooh, it's gold.
It's gold. No, we're not going to let the audience see it. There it is. So here's the thing. I've got a Canadian amp. I've got Canadian pedals. I need a Canadian guitar so I can make a Canadian gear video. So I need to know what Canadian guitars are out there.
Where are your Canadian pedals?
For me to beg for. I've got super cool pedals.
No, I know. I'm gonna go. I was gonna grab one to show the people.
And I know this. I've probably got a bunch of other Canadian branded pedals around here as well. Tell me what Canadian pedals I have. I want to make this Canadian episode happen where I just cover a bunch of Canadian gear that I already own.
So I do think that's kind of interesting, and there is that limitation. And then it's like, what do you do with the company? Is Fender actually like, would you think of them as a multinational? I don't really think of them as a, or do you buy Fender products, but not American Fender products, only like Indonesian Fender? I don't know.
Like, is there really any guitar brand, no matter what they make, amps, pedals, guitars, lifestyle brand stuff, whatever, is there any brand that isn't at least secretly international? Like, nothing is being 100% sourced and manufactured in single companies.
Right, in that sense.
In single countries, I mean. Countries are basically companies now, apparently. But you know what I mean? Like, where did the ore come from? Where did the rare earth metals for the capacitors and where did the timber come from? Where did the chemicals in the finish and the glue come from?
Where did the Al in your Al Nico pickup?
Right. Where did all that Al come from?
Good old Al.
Yeah.
Where
did the germanium come from? You
don't want to know the answers to these questions.
But the thing is, most people don't. Most people, people who get really nationalistic about the things that they buy, which is, fine, whatever. but they're like, oh, I only buy made in USA. It's like, guess where all the metal in your USA Les Paul came from? Guess where the chemicals in the finish came from? Guess like even if they're mixing the chemicals together here, the ingredients came from somewhere else. Like everything is like that now. Everything comes from everywhere. It's a recipe. Everything is a ball of goo that's all mixed in from the entire planet's surface. Like, it's futile to be so dedicated to these ideas.
Yeah.
You know, well, politics are politics.
I think the big thing right now is the political side. And I think maybe this is my last thought, unless you want to try to take it somewhere else. But here's my last thought.
Okay.
And again, spurring off this original conversation I had with Landon, which is different than the conversation that you had with Landon.
I don't know. It might have been very similar.
It might have been similar, but I'm saying they were two separate conversations about the same topic.
Let's be honest. Neither of us probably talked to Landon. It was probably AI.
That's true. That's true. Once a day, Landon, Laindon, texts me and I reply back thinking it's actually Landon.
Right.
And we basically just have a conversation until I stop texting back. That explains why it goes ... and 30 seconds later it's just like a lot of text. Or just one line, but it takes the same amount of time no matter what. No, my thought is that from conversations I've had, not just with Landon, but also listening to Ben Coombs, because I jump on his in his live streams. I don't jump on the show, but like I'm in the chat. I listen to that pretty frequently on Sunday nights.
Brother of Amanda Coombs.
Yeah. Is that and Amanda's told me this as well. I think from conversations she's had with Ben or other Canadian YouTubers, I don't know who all, is that like Long and McQuaid, who I believe is like the largest retailer in Canada, just has no interest in doing, like they kind of have a Luddite approach to,
they're old school
to marketing. And so the reality is, you know, when Landon does even whether he buys it from a company or Sweetwater sends it to him, he should be able to throw up a link in the chat that says, hey, if you are in the US, click my Sweetwater link and I get, a small percentage of that. Click my Long and McQuaid link, I get a small percentage of that. But Long and McQuaid doesn't even have affiliate from what I understand. I just can't imagine being a major retailer in 2025 and not having an affiliate program.
I mean, there's a lot that don't. You'd be surprised.
I searched for an international chain.
I know.
I guess did Sam Ash have affiliate?
Listen, these companies, Sam Ash, I don't know if they did. A lot of companies move very slow, especially when it comes to marketing things. It is what it is. Like, you'd be surprised how far behind most of the industry is with even just considering YouTubers as part of the current marketing recipe that's out there. They still see us as like, oh, isn't that just like kids dancing in their rooms or whatever? They view us like TikTok or whatever. Like, oh, I don't know about that. That doesn't seem like it's a real thing. Yeah. Like we're still doing, I've been doing this a decade, still doing the work of informing current business owners that this is viable advertising. But viewers, Canadian viewers, if you want Canadian retailers and Canadian manufacturers to support Canadian content creators, tell them. Yeah. That's it. That's how to get it in their head. Be like, hey, you should really send this over to Jalen or Jay, a Canadian YouTuber. You should send this over to Landon. You should send this to Glenn, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. Like, you don't know how much influence you have as the consumer, because these companies, they listen to the consumers more than they'll listen to us. That's true. And if you're all telling them, hey, I'd love to see this or that, or I'd love to see you working with these people. I'd love to see you doing giveaways with Canadian YouTubers because they're doing giveaways with American brands. Why can't it be domestic? Why can't we have giveaways for Canadians, by Canadians? Like, go tell them, encourage them.
All this being said, I'm going to throw my sponsorship hat on. We're sometimes sponsored by one of these and not sponsored by the other, but the two stores that I would endorse from my own experience, obviously in the United States, Sweetwater.
Of course.
And I know I've been saying,
we love working with Sweetwater.
I know I've been saying Long and McQuaid a lot. When we do a adventurers club and someone's in Canada, a lot of times they pick Long and McQuaid, and then I have to I'll either ask the winner for their address, because I can't order a Long and McQuaid gift card without a Canadian address, even though it's a digital gift card.
You've spent a lot of money at Long and McQuaid, haven't you?
I've done it 2 or 3 times, $50, $75, something like that.
That's not bad.
But what I'm going to say is, whatever, Long and McQuaid, go to Lauzon Music in Ottawa. That's who you should be buying from, is Lauzon Music in Canada.
Lauzon Music?
Yeah, Lauzon Music.
All right.
We got a friend there.
Canadians, if you're familiar with Lauzon Music, let us know in the comments section.
You got anything else to say? That good? Moving on.
I just want to put it on the record and say that I do not think that Canada should become our 51st state. Not because I don't think you're worthy of it, but mostly because I would much rather California, Oregon, and Washington join Canada. I'm ready. I'm ready for the poutine. I'm ready for them all dressed chips. Derek from Rev gave me 3 bags of all dressed chips at NAM. They're all gone. I don't have them anymore. I need more. If leaving the United States of America, if seceding is the way to get all dressed chips and poutine in San Diego, so be it. All right, let's move on.
California for the 11th. I had to look it up. California. Just imagine California, the 11th Canadian province. Do we have to be a territory first before we can? How does that work?
I don't know. We got beavers here.
Yeah, we do have beavers.
We have beavers in California. I've seen them with my own eyes. You can come down here. All your French Canadians can come down here and try to trap them. Please don't, because we need them. But, you could look at them.
Is that still a thing?
No. I'm remembering historical details from the Oregon Trail video game.
Les Voyageurs. All right. I think we actually made it through that entire segment talking about Canada without making one Canadian joke, which was actually pretty good.
There's nothing funny about Canada, Steve. Canada's not a joke.
All right. This ad was sent by Snarky.
Yep, we got a Snarky one.
Burns Concord. About this listing, guitar. Is this why you picked it?
No, but it helps.
Guitare collection vous propose cette somptueuse Burns style. Burns Flight Concord Natural de 1974. Monté avec ses micros originals. Mach 1 Hunburster. Un instrument vintage rare. This is fucking French. I don't know how to do French, man. A bunch of other words. Mais aussi pour les fans de formes, whatever. Guitar Collection offers you this sumptuous Burns Flight Concord Natural from 1974, mounted with its original Mach 1 Hunburster pickups. A rare and collector vintage instrument, particularly for glam rock fans, but also for fans of unusual shapes.
It is an unusual shape.
A very easy to play guitar with typically 80s tones. This weighs 2.8 kilo. So it's like, say, 3 kilo at 2.2. It's like 6.5 pounds.
Just normal weight.
Well, 6.5 is on the light side.
It's Telecaster.
But it's a small body.
I guess depending on the Telecaster. I have a light Telecaster. So they want $2,600 for this thing. Oh my gosh, $800 shipping. It must be coming from somewhere wild.
It's coming from France.
Oh, and this was listed 5 years ago. It's been sitting on Reverb for 5 years. But
because nobody wants to pay $800 shipping.
I saw a bunch of these on Reverb, all around the same price. I'm sure the shipping is very specific to this listing. I just wanted to look at it and talk about it. I think that Eastwood has a version of this now.
Yeah,
this body shape. Yeah. I'm not.
You know what? Eastwood is a Canadian.
Are they? That's right. They are.
So my understanding, because I've had this conversation,
and they're left-hand friendly
with friend of the show Hugh, is that's how Eastwood basically gets away with copyright infringing everybody.
Right. because the copyrights are all in the USA.
Yeah, the copyrights are different. Like copyright law is a little different up there.
Yeah. So I'm honestly like, this might be surprising. I'm not a fan of most of the body. To me, the body looks like a penguin going like,
yeah.
Like I see that they're going for like a space age sort of thing, like a hypersonic jet sort of shape, but it all falls apart at the butt end. You know, if it was a full V, like this thing would be kind of radical.
Especially because the pickguard looks like a tiny little shirt.
You're hung up on the penguin part still. Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
This kind of looks like, I don't know, like you're talking about the spaceship thing, and the dumb butt end thing just makes me think of like the A-wing from Star Wars.
Yeah. It has a space age thing going on with it. The pickup is a really fun design. That kind of like, how would you describe that geometrically?
It's a house. It's a pentagon.
It's a pentagon, but that's not the word I'm looking for.
It's a house.
It's a little house. The pickups are they're little houses on the front of the penguin's tuxedo. I think the most brilliant thing here about this design, that headstock, man, look how straight the strings are going over.
Yeah.
That string guide.
It's got a 0 fret.
It's got a 0 fret. It's got a string guide instead of the nut, but just like straight over. And I know there's people out there who make the argument that doesn't really matter, like with a Gibson headstock, where the strings bend out of the nut, because I think it was Doug Cower or some other builder that told me one time, is like, yeah, eventually, like someone pointed out to me, like, it doesn't matter which direction the string is going to go. It's going to bend past the nut anyways.
Sure.
And so you kind of just relax about it. But like visually, even if there's no like secret tuning stability to the string going straight over the nut like that,
it looks really clean.
It looks so clean.
And with this headstock,
it looks so fast.
Yeah, it creates really good long lines with this headstock design.
And like obviously it means the headstock's going to be really long to pull this off, but it works. I think it's one of the cooler features of this guitar is that super long, straight arrow, pointy headstock.
This is like a premium British made, Schaller tuners, the whole thing. Like this would have been a top of the line guitar in its time. I mean,
let's be honest. The only thing keeping me from actually liking this is its lack of wiggle stick.
It kind of has like the Telecaster hat. Like
it does.
No, that's not a Telecaster bridge. That's a dual sonic bridge.
Similar. There's some lineage mixing in a few different directions there with that bridge.
It's a Duocaster. It's a Telesonic.
Yeah, there's a lot of Fender DNA in that bridge.
Yeah.
But there's also a little bit of like a Dan Electro thing happening as well.
Sure.
I don't know. It's cool to look at. I like that headstock. Obviously these things have value. They're around this price point all over Reverb. They're a collector's item. I just wish the body didn't.
Just shrugs.
Hey guys, I'm just a little guy here. Just a little penguin. I kind of think that those wings, what's it called on like supersonic aircraft when they have the wings in the front?
Canard.
A canard. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I wish those canards were flipped around facing the other direction to be pointing forward a bit.
You want it to be like, that's like a very actual 80s design.
Instead of going like that, I want it going like that.
You want it to be a clean like bird of prey.
Sort of, yeah. It needs something to give it some aggression. It looks fast, but it needs some aggression going a certain direction because it's just so shruggy.
You want it to choose violence.
Right.
Not,
Well, I want it. I want to know that this thing not only breaks the sound barrier, but also has a payload.
I want to know what love is.
I want you to show me. Yeah. All right, let's move on.
This next segment of the show is where we thank the people who support the making of this program.
Wait, are you talking about the Patreons?
That's right, the Patreons.
Those are my favorite people.
if you want to help support the show, head on over to patreon.com/60cyclehumcast, where you can support the making of this program like these people did. Of course, we have a $1 tier. Patreon has sent us emails over the years saying, you want to make your Patreon better? Get rid of that $1 tier, make it a $3 tier.
And we say no.
We say no. $1
because we
tier.
love our $1 Patreon.
You know what you get for $1? You get the audio version of this as early as I work on it. Sometimes if you
sometimes that's 3 or 4 hours earlier than everyone else gets it.
Yeah, sometimes that means you might get it at 11 p.m. on a 12 a.m. launch. Sometimes that means you might get it on a Saturday morning.
There you go.
You know,
still you get a sneak peek,
but you're also going to get your name in the scroll at the end. Scroll.
He said skull.
The scroll.
You're going to get your name in the skull.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be great if we had a skull that the names were kept in?
And you know, I'm probably going to be making a video in the next month or so. I think
2025 is the year of the Steve videos.
Yeah, we'll see. RJ says I have to make like 10 more videos this year. I think
he's the boss.
He is the boss. He's the producer of this channel.
I think he's your personal producer.
That's more accurate. But I am looking at making a video. I don't want to say too much about it yet. But if this does get lined up, I'm going to be polling Patreon to get some questions that might get pitched for the concept of the video.
All right.
Trying to keep it mostly vague.
Sure.
But yeah, so I like to try to interact with Patreon as much as possible, which sometimes is tough because of the way the notifications work, but I do my best. But yeah.
But also we use Patreon, even if you don't want to give us money. I use Patreon to publish the videos.
Oh, that's right.
If you go follow us on Patreon, you don't have to pay any money at all, but you'll get notifications every time that I launch a demo. YouTube notifications fail a lot of times.
Yeah.
Like YouTube is kind of sucky about that stuff. But Patreon will send out an email every single time. I also publish the videos to the Facebook group. So join the Facebook group if you want to get notifications. That's probably even sketchier than the Patreon. The Patreon is probably the surefirest way to get notifications about videos. So,
you know, Ryan, if you want to make sure people see all the videos that get published, maybe we should think about starting a newsletter.
Steve has been pushing this.
I'm just floating that out there, but
here's the real question. Because I could go into the contest stuff. What is it?
King Sumo.
King Sumo. I could go into King Sumo and grab a bunch of email addresses out there, and we could start an email list, a newsletter, and let people just opt out of it, unsubscribe if they hate it, and just deal with the backlash a little bit. But we would hit the ground running with thousands of people on an email list. Does anyone want that? Are people opposed?
Here's what I'll say.
Steve's going to pitch it, and he's got stuff he wants to add into a newsletter. So let him do his pitch.
Well, I'm not going to pitch this right now. I'm just saying there's someone that we know who does a lot of marketing, who might be like a marketing guru of sorts.
They have followers. It's a cult.
Who wants to have a conversation with us about newsletters. And I told him we would. We were supposed to do it in February, but my February's been hectic as hell. But he wants to have lunch with us. Okay. And I told him, I said, well, let's meet up so you can convince Ryan. Because I told him, I'm convinced. Ryan's not convinced.
I hate newsletters. Yeah. I hate email blasts.
How do you feel about, JHS just started an SMS service. How do you feel about SMS?
I don't know, man. What year is it?
It's 2025.
I know, but that feels like 2012.
You don't want to get text messages from JHS every time a video drops?
No. No,
it'd be like
I barely like getting text messages from my friends.
It'd be like a once a month newsletter. We can talk about this more at another time.
Should we have an email newsletter? Let us know in the comment section.
Yeah. All right.
Are you like me? Are you vehemently opposed to it?
Ryan.
If Steve, here's what it lands. Here's the real issue.
Right.
If Steve does the work, I'm not going to stop him.
Well, in that case, we don't need to have lunch. I'll have lunch by myself.
Like if you want to write up a monthly newsletter that has some highlights or like some articles that you've written or something like that in there, right. Or maybe we bring in some guest writers or I don't know.
Threads, highlights of the month.
I don't know how ambitious you want to get with this thing.
Well, that's part of the conversation that I guess I'll have. You don't want to have it. Yeah. I'll have it.
I just don't want to do more work.
Ryan.
Yes, Steve.
What's new?
Oh man, I've started making pickguards. I'm dangerous now. Maybe I've already published the video of it, but I've been working on that Jaguar where I've been experimenting with staining the polyurethane finish with fabric dyes, which I am actually making significant success with.
Yeah.
Maybe I've already published it. I haven't finished the project yet as of recording this. But I hunkered down over the last couple of days and I've built myself a pickguard making rig and I'm feeling excited about it. I've got a bunch of guitars around here that I've always wanted to make custom pickguards for. And I have a system now and I'm 100% confident in it. I haven't cut the pickguard yet, but I've been cutting templates and I know I have a lot of confidence that I'm going to be able to do this and I'm feeling excited about it. So that's what's new for me is I'm getting dangerous. I'm going to make pickguards.
Well, what's new for me is this box back here.
Oh yeah, Steve has a box. Do you need a blade with that box?
I believe I do. This is a box from Bees Music.
That's right. Friends of the show over there.
Some cat
and they have their own show.
They sent us this free cat bed.
It really is. Are you going to take that home to your cat?
I probably should.
Yeah.
I probably actually need this box for all of its contents.
Every time my sister sees me wearing one of the Bees Music Shop shirts, she's like, I want that shirt. I'm like, you can't have it.
Not only is
shirt.
this,
oh my gosh,
let's start with this card.
Hat.
Steve and Ryan.
Full of kazoos.
Little cat card. Hope you enjoy the goodies. Meow. Thanks, Brian. And we got a whole bunch. We got some of these new. The hotel keychain is having a moment.
Is that the hip thing right now?
I think it is. We got some Bees Music Shop ones to give away. We got some Bees Music Shop kazoos.
I mean, the kazoos are legit, guys. Steve's going to give these away to Patreon members.
We got,
oh my gosh, more shirts.
One of these shirts. This is my size, the 2XL. This is like the is this an Earthquaker thing? Is that what's going on here? Is this an Earthquaker thing?
It might be. It might just be their own
random tentacle. Very cool. Thanks for the shirts.
What's a catkin? Like a kraken, but a cat?
Oh, that could be. That's pretty clever.
A crack catkin?
This is cool. None
of that works.
Meowdulator stickers.
I'm going to wear this shirt next episode. Watch for it.
But all this started because I think this was maybe
that's a lot of stickers.
Yeah, those are going in all the sticker packs that I do for all of the giveaways and stuff. But
that's crazy.
I need that blade again.
You got a couple boxes there. Oh, you talked about this the other week.
Yeah, so this is the pedal I bought. I talked about it the other week. This is the Keeley Super Rodent.
Emphasis on the purr.
On the purr.
Let me see that.
I got it because it's a rat, and I got to have all the rats.
Steve collects rats.
I got.
So this goes in between an SD overdrive and a rat, and I forget how these work. So you're selecting the tone stack from either an SD or a rat, and then you're selecting the drive clipping from either an SD or a rat, so you can mix and match.
Yeah,
all right.
So imagine
cool.
Imagine you have the gain circuit from a rat, but you have got like the tone stack from a SD1.
Like, and an SD1 is basically a tube screamer.
And then I asked Brian at NAMM, I said, hey, can you send me a Meowdulator?
Oh, nice. You got one.
Thanks,
you got
Brian.
your very own.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Now you can really annoy the neighbors.
I have a feeling that the Meowdulator is going to get like stolen by my kid pretty quickly.
I hope so.
Need a 9. Maybe.
Hey, you know what? That pedal's probably going to be worth $1 billion someday. That pedal's going to pay for your kid's college.
Maybe.
Or pay for your grandkids' college.
Yeah, I was going to say my kid's going to college in like 2 years. So I don't know if it's going to appreciate it.
There's not enough time. There's not enough time.
But
I got it.
Very cool. Thanks for all this stuff.
Yeah,
Bees
thanks,
Music.
guys.
Thanks for supporting us, and hopefully we can send some support your way too. Guys, if you like cat pedals, if you like here's the thing, like they're all cat themed. I just really think it's cool that all these, because the Meowdulator is made by Cusack Music. You got the sticker here. Keeley does a bunch of unique designs with them, like cat themed designs. And I just think that's really cool because a lot of companies do like, oh, all of our pedals that we custom color pedals that we get from companies are red or black or whatever, or they're just unique. Like, I think it's Vintage King, just gets like unique color schemes from companies. But Bees Music gets all this cat stuff that I think is really cool.
And they're really using their power as a retailer.
Yeah.
Not just to make stuff that's custom for them, like to work through these manufacturers to make them custom one-off things like, we've got something in our color scheme with our branding or whatever. But like, you put cats on things and people want them. They actually sell these things. Like, people actually really want all the Bees Music editions of these pedals because cats on the internet, guys. Like, that is the recipe for success. If you're trying to sell something on the internet, just put a cat on it.
One last thing before we end the what's new.
Okay.
And to the newsletter point, maybe I'll just say this is where we will start collecting emails. Maybe we won't even go back to the old stuff. That way it's up front. All right. But I actually have 2 Bees Music 1-ton bees. Brian sent you, I think he sent us 3 of these last year. One for each of us, and then 1 extra to do whatever we want. And I'm going to give one of those away. We're going to do a hoop jump at the bottom. I'll set it up on King Sumo.
We're hoop jumping.
We'll come up with some things to put in there, and we'll give away one of these Mojo Hand 1-ton bees. It's got a big-ass bee on it with a cat face. It's really cool.
So you're saying this will be the start of your...
This will be the first
email list.
It'll be in the description, because I think you have to declare with King Sumo that you will be using these emails for commercial purposes.
Yes.
So I want to keep it above board. I want people to know when because I think in the past you've said that we are not going to do anything with these emails. And now I'm saying, well, maybe we are.
Okay.
So if you want to win a 1-ton beast, and we put this at the end of the episode,
this is a great pedal, by the way.
Yeah. It's super.
It's a Fuzzrite.
It's a Fuzzrite.
It's a Fuzzrite. It's like, it is the sound of the Venture's 2,000 pound bee. Like, it does the thing. It is that dry, broken, primitive, primeval sort of fuzz. And this one's got a cat bee on it. It's a bee surfing on a wave with a cat face and is green. You know you want it.
Yeah.
Give us your email address so Steve can write you a message.
I don't know how long this Hoop Jumpers will go for. Maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks. I don't know.
Set it up however you want. You know what?
Maybe a month.
You know what?
Maybe a year.
If you're going to do one email a month, maybe the contest lasts a month.
Maybe. We'll see.
There you go.
All right. This last ad was sent by, who was it sent by, Ryan?
Which one are we doing? Oh, the Yasha Tar.
Yasha Tar.
It's a Joey Scar. Did we already have a Joey Scar?
The first one was a Joey Scar.
We accidentally doubled up the Joeys this episode. Who's gonna win, Joey or Snarky? So I accidentally put one of the screen grabs in.
I know.
Oh, I think it's just doubled.
Yeah, this is a 1984 Ovation Elite Collector Series made in USA. They want $851 plus $93 shipping. This is barely a guitar.
I know.
1984 Ovation Elite Collector Series made in USA. Super bad spray can refin by the previous owner. Appears to have repaired crack near armrest. Check picture. 6 frets have wear. Pickup is untested. Cover on back is missing. Nice models sell for $2,000. Sold as is. No returns. Well, here's the thing. I'm looking at this.
To me, it looks like they're trying to sell it mid-repair. Because it's still got all the masking tape all over it. The bottom of the neck, the fretboard, is still masked off. The bridge is masked off. I think that they were trying to respray the top of it to be black, and they just gave up on the project, and now someone else is trying to sell it. Like, is this an estate sale sort of situation?
Do Ovations normally have a big old hole in the back like that?
The old ones did.
Oh, weird. I don't feel like I've ever seen one like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess maybe this is because it's this particular like Elite where you don't have a sound hole.
Well, so these ridges here,
I'm saying it doesn't have like a full.
It doesn't have a sound hole. It has a dozen.
It has a bunch of. I mean, I always thought this was like that was the cool model of Ovation. If I ever got an Ovation, it would have been. I thought the ones with the full sound hole looked dumb.
Yeah, my uncle had one as a 12-string, and it was one of my earliest memories of seeing someone play guitar. I was like, oh man, that must be an amazing guitar. It's so cool. And now I look at Ovations, I'm like, gosh, I don't want a helicopter guitar.
This is so rough. Like, it's so hard to even judge whether or not. I understand, like, they're saying, oh, it had to have a refinish and whatever. But it's so hard to tell what the condition is of this guitar. When I first saw this, until you pointed out that, like, this is all covered in masking tape, I just thought somebody, like, fucked this shit up.
Well, they did. Because this masking tape looks super old, and you know it's not going to pull off clean, and that paint is probably like this whole thing is going to be a mess. Look at how thick the orange peel is on the top of this guitar. There's all sorts of little bubbles, and someone masked this off a decade ago, as far as we know.
But some of those,
and emptied a full can of black gloss on it.
Some of those bubbles are like on top. Oh, I guess not in this part.
Look at over here. Yeah. Look at all that. This is not a good refin job. And what are you doing refin? I know it's an Ovation. I know it's mostly plastic anyways. What are you doing spray painting an acoustic guitar anyways?
Yeah. You're killing all the tone. You're sealing the top. It can't breathe. It can't breathe under all that paint.
And it has like a cool 1984 12th fret inlay on there. Like this, they're asking a bunch of money for this, considering the disaster that we're looking at here.
Yeah, well, the claim is that this is like a $2,000 guitar.
Yeah.
And so they're selling it for half off.
In perfect condition, that's probably true. There are people out there who are Ovation collectors, believe it or not.
Right. And that's what they're saying, is that this is a collector's model.
I do want to say that Ovation had their place in a time. Mm-hmm. There was a time where if you wanted to play an acoustic guitar on a modern stage, it was very difficult. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of stuff you had to do. The sound had to be just right. Ovation came along. They're a brand born from a helicopter manufacturing factory. They used helicopter techniques to make guitars that are half helicopter. Does that mean that they're good guitars? Does that mean that they're good helicopters? No.
Does it mean that they're aerodynamic?
But they sold these stock with built-in electronics, which was unheard of in the day for acoustic guitars. It was market disrupting. And because of that, they became the acoustic darlings of the 70s and the 80s, and even well into the 90s as well. They're like, especially like in the church scene, in the praise and worship scene. Like in that time frame, it wasn't like today where it's full bands at church. It would be the worship leader with his Ovation and his wife on the piano if they had a piano.
Well, and they were all Glenn Campbell fans, and that's why they got Ovation.
Right. And their guitars made for standing up. They're terrible lap guitars because that bowl just wants to slide right off of your tummy, right off your knee. But they were acoustics made for modern stages at the time, which was remarkable. But this is just a tragedy to see. We don't know if this is hiding a repair, like if there's a failure in the construction underneath all this, or if it was just someone who wanted their guitar to be black.
Yeah. So I've been perusing the reverb.
I bet there's some pretty wood under this.
And a lot of these are like, even these old, like, I'm not seeing a lot of the collectors, the specific, because that year marking in there where you said 1984, that's an indicator of like one step above. It's not just a regular elite model. No, totally. It's the collector's elite. I've only been able to find one, and it was from 1988, and it was like $1,100. So this whole $2,000 thing seems like a bit far-fetched.
It's all absurd. The price is way out of bounds for what this should be. This is a repairman special, and it should be maybe $200. But like someone would have to look at it and be like, yeah, there's bones under here still. And maybe I can find a replacement for that back panel that's missing. But man, it's gonna take some sanding and stripping to get this back where it needs to be.
What did you say a price right now and I missed it?
I said 200. I think that's too high or too low.
Well, you know what? I think based on the prices I'm seeing, 200 is probably fair.
Okay.
Because I feel like I'm seeing things from like the 80s. Here's a collector series Elite from 1984, the same year. This sold in, 8 years ago, so it is a little further back. But Ovation's not a super collectible brand. This thing is. That's the one. Really good looking.
That's pretty.
This is a 1984.
You guys can't see it. We're looking at it.
There's a video idea. Teach people how to use reverb. But this is that's probably the exact same one. It sold for $600 8 years ago. I have trouble believing that they've shot up in price.
I'm going to do a video titled how to use reverb, and everyone's going to think it's spring reverb. And then it's just going to be me showing you how to buy things on reverb.com.
Yep.
And it won't even be sponsored. They're not even going to pay me to do that.
So I think with that idea, that's if it was $2,000, I was going to say maybe 5 to 6. But given that I'm having trouble finding anything north of 14.
Someone's going to,
then $300.
It would be normal for someone to buy this for $200 and to put $300 worth of work into it.
Right.
And then feel like they had a good project that landed them a guitar that they tell themselves would be worth $800. But really it's still damaged property.
Here's the thing, going back to what you're saying before, $200, I don't think that's out of the, it's lower than I was thinking.
Sure.
But I don't disagree with you. I just, I can see where you're coming from. If they just did the work to take the tape off and said, look, bad spray job, and put some freaking strings on it.
Here's the thing, man.
When I first saw this, I thought it was wall art. Who's going to pay $900 for wall art?
You're getting into a project here. If I saw this for $50 at a garage sale, I would still give it a good looking over to make sure that it was functional. We don't know how long this thing hasn't had strings on it. We don't know where it was stored, what condition the wood of the neck is in, what condition the neck joint is in, what condition the electronics are in.
Exactly.
There's so many questions here. We don't know what's under the tape. There could be cracks. There could be all sorts of things
That's
going
what I'm saying.
on.
Take the tape off, throw some strings on it. In this case, it's probably worth it to make a 30-second video just to throw up on YouTube just so you can prove that it works.
All that stuff takes time, and the person selling this, they don't care about that. They just want it gone.
They also apparently don't care about selling it because it's priced for way more than it's worth.
They're selling it out of Germany.
Oh,
Graffiti music.
That explains a lot. Oh, graffiti music. That's why it's.
I feel like it doesn't explain enough.
Is that why it's covered in spray paint?
Did they spray paint it? Is this a Bansky?
It said preview.
I pronounced Bansky so weird.
Is
this a Bansky?
Bansky? What?
Banksy. You ever say something wrong and it didn't feel like you did it on purpose, but you just roll with it? You know what? That's how I'm saying it now. Bansky.
Hold on. Say it again. Say it properly.
Bansky.
It's just Banksy.
Is it Banksy?
It's just Banksy.
Maybe I've never said his name out loud.
Yeah.
We know someone who knows him personally.
Just like that guy, Shepard Faray. Shepard Faray. I think he's collaborated with Bansky.
The same guy that we know knows him too.
Ryan, we got to do Adventures Club. We got Joey.
We don't
Joey.
got to. We get to. We got 2 Joeys and we got a Snarky. Who's going to get it?
What are you thinking here?
My thing here?
Snarky won 2 weeks ago.
I'm sorry. Clearly Repaired is getting it. That clear headstock.
Clearly Repaired.
That's too good.
You know what? I think we got to spin the wheel. I'll pick Snarky just so we can spin the wheel.
Got to give the wheel some love.
Got to give the wheel. You know, it'd be fun. So if you picked the clearly repaired, and I picked the Ovation, we would still have to spin the wheel, even though it's for the same person.
It doesn't matter at this point.
But I'll pick. Give
it a spin, Steve.
K. Not my best spin ever. You were hitting the mic?
Accidentally muting. I was accidentally slowing down the wheel with the foam of my mic. And I need to spend some time with the wheel. This situation's not working out anymore. Long spin on here though. There you go. Congratulations, Ryan. Joey. Didn't Snarky give his last winnings to Joey?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Maybe, you know what, Joey? Give your winnings to Snarky. Well, it's only proper.
It's because Joey's doing some in the Discord every once in a while. Well, there haven't been any pictures in a while.
Okay.
But Joey is doing some custom paint job work on what's the model's called, is it Runaway Rocket? The Alameda guitars?
Oh, yeah.
Is that what the model's called? It's something Rocket.
Yeah. It's something like that.
So Snarky got the it was like the prototype body.
Mm-hmm.
And then he sent it over to Joey, and Joey's going to do some refin on it.
So it's a whole community effort over there.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. I
haven't been on the Discord in months and months. I
know.
Months. I need to go check in.
Every once in a while, somebody's like, "Hey, at Big Ryan," and I'm just like, "Yeah, let me see if I can get that answer for you."
Yeah, I can't be everywhere, so
I get it. I don't, my brain's
we have to try every social media thing that comes up just in case it becomes the hot new thing.
Do you still do Blue Sky?
I haven't checked on that in a long time, so maybe I do.
Do you remember when
I'm on freaking Red Note?
Are you on Truth?
I'm not on Truth.
Do you remember when Parler started and it was like super like, oh, are all the YouTubers going to go on Parler because like it's a new market and and we were just like, nah, that's fine.
You have to have like so many people on a thing for it to be viable as a guitar community space. Like, oh my gosh, most things are not viable for us.
Every few months, somebody asks us, usually after there's some kind of Google or YouTube controversy, somebody asks us if we'll ever start using Rumble as a backup.
No.
and the upside of it is that Rumble, apparently their ad distribution rates, CPMs are like way higher than
because they're going to reward any views that you get because there's no views happening over there.
But the flip side of it is like the highest viewed video for Fender Stratocaster on Rumble is like 7,000 views, and that's a video from like 4 years ago.
Right, like you go every new guitar video, you go over there and look at it, and it's dozens of views.
And then somebody will say, "Well, somebody's got to be the first one. Someone's got to be like if we went there, we'd automatically be the number one channel on Rumble."
No, we probably wouldn't be. Let us know if things heat up over there, and I'll look into it. But every time I look at it, every couple of years I look at it, I'm like, this isn't worth the effort.
You just gotta tag Dan Bongino in every single one of your
posts. I don't know who that is.
He's some guy.
Oh, okay.
I think he's part of the FBI now, actually.
Great.
Yeah. This song was sent by Ben Smith. These are song for the end credits. Hi, Steve and Ryan. That's right. Got that in the right order. Good job. I've sent you songs from my bands before, but I'm releasing a solo album that will be on streaming platforms and Bandcamp on the 30th of January, 2025. Hey, we're only posting this a month after this event. That's pretty good for us.
Not bad.
That means
that means we need more songs.
Yeah, I think we got like 10 left. And like 4 of those are from the same person. Tentatively, I think it's ambient post-rock, but with trip-hop electronic influences, but I'd love some feedback because I'm really struggling to describe it to people. I've attached the first song off the album that's
I can go for some trip-hop.
Mostly because it's the shortest. The album is at laughingatoblivion.bandcamp.com/album/undefined form. I'll post a link down below. Hope you're both well. Take it easy, Ben. So this song is called Bone, and it's by Laughing at Oblivion.
Now, I know you guys just watched Steve and I chat with each other while that song was playing the whole time. I'm going to explain to you why that's a good thing. That song took me back to say 1997, 1998, sitting in a really cool, hip coffee shop before everything got way overly Starbucksed, before things went hipster.
Right.
And it's like a Wednesday night. The only people there are college kids studying and just hanging out and chatting. And they're playing some kind of ambient trancey sort of music. And you're just having a good time, just hanging out and chatting. And it put me in that space.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
I think trip hop is probably where I would start with the descriptor for this.
Totally.
He asked how we would describe it. Definitely was kind of getting some there's no vocal, but I was kind of getting that Massive Attack vibe going on. You made the comment early on that this reminded you of a deconstructed Chariots of Fire for about the first minute or so. But I feel towards the end, it started going in a more melodic direction. And I think that melodic direction was actually really strong. So
no, I thought it was a great track.
Yeah. Thanks, Ben.
Yeah. Good mood. All right. Yeah. Bye, everybody.
Stay grounded.